In the matter of glass generally, we proceed upon false principles. Its leading feature is glitter, and in that one word how much of all that is detestable do we express? Flickering, unquiet lights are sometimes pleasing, to children and idiots always so, but in the embellishment of a room they should be scrupulously avoided. In truth, even strong, steady lights are inadmissible. The huge and unmeaning glass chandeliers, prism-cut, gas-lighted, and without shade, which dangle in our most fashionable drawing-rooms, may be cited as the quintessence of all that is false in taste or preposterous in folly. The rage for glitter, because its idea has become, as we before observed, confounded with that of magnificence in the abstract, has led us also to the exaggerated employment of mirrors. We line our dwellings with great British plates, and then imagine we have done a fine thing. Now the slightest thought will be sufficient to convince anyone who has an eye at all of the ill effect of numerous looking-glasses, and especially of large ones, regarded apart from its reflection. The mirror presents a continuous, flat, colorless, unrelieved surface, a thing always and obviously unpleasant. Considered as a reflector, it is potent in producing a monstrous and odious uniformity, and the evil is here aggravated not in merely direct proportion with the augmentation of its sources, but in a ratio constantly increasing. In fact, a room with 4 or 5 mirrors arranged at random is, for all purposes of artistic show, a room of no shape at all. If we add to this evil the attendant glitter upon glitter, we have a perfect farrago of discordant and displeasing effects. The veriest bumpkin, on entering an apartment so bedizened, would be instantly aware of something wrong, although he might be altogether unable to assign a cause for his dissatisfaction. But let the same person be led into a room tastefully furnished, and he would be startled into an exclamation of pleasure and surprise. It is an evil growing out of our republican institutions, that here a man of large purse has usually a very little soul, which he keeps in it. The corruption of taste is a portion or a pendant of the dollar manufacture. As we grow rich, our ideas grow rusty. It is therefore not among our aristocracy that we must look, if at all, in Appalachia, for the spirituality of a British boudoir, but we have seen apartments in the tenure of Americans of modern means, which in negative merit at least might vie with any of the or-molude cabinets of our friends across the water. Even now there is present to our mind's eye a small and not ostentatious chamber, with whose decorations no fault can be found. The proprietor lies asleep on a sofa. The weather is cool. The time is near midnight. We will make a sketch of the room during his slumber. It is oblong, some 30 feet in length and 25 in breadth, a shape affording the best ordinary opportunities for the adjustment of furniture. It is but one door, by no means a wide one. It has but one door, by no means a wide one, which is at one end of the parallelogram, and but 2 windows, which are at the other. These latter are large, reaching down to the floor, have deep recesses, and open on an Italian veranda. Their panes are of a crimson-tinted glass, set in rosewood framings, more massive than usual. They are curtained within the recess by a thick silver tissue adapted to the shape of the window, and hanging loosely in small volumes. Without the recess are curtains of an exceedingly rich crimson silk, fringed with a deep network of gold and lined with the silver tissue, which is the material of the exterior blind. There are no cornices, but the folds of the whole fabric, which are sharp rather than massive, and have an airy appearance, issue from beneath a broad entablature of rich giltwork, which encircles the room at the junction of the ceiling and walls. The drapery is thrown open also, or closed, by means of a thick rope of gold loosely enveloping it, and resolving itself readily into a knot. No pins or other such devices are apparent. The colors of the curtains and their fringe, the tints of crimson and gold, appear everywhere in profusion, and determine the character of the room. The carpet of Saxony material is quite half an inch thick, and is of the same crimson ground, relieved simply by the appearance of gold cord, like that festooning the curtains, slightly relieved above the surface of the ground and thrown upon it in such a manner as to form a succession of short irregular curves, one occasionally overlying the other. The walls are prepared with a glossy paper of a silver-gray tint, spotted with small arabesque devices of a fainter hue of the prevalent crimson. Many paintings relieve the expanse of the paper. These are chiefly landscapes of an imaginative cast, such as the fairy grottos of Stanfield or the lake of the dismal swamp of Chapman. There are nevertheless 3 or 4 female heads of an ethereal beauty, portraits in the manner of Sully. The tone of each picture is warm but dark. There are no brilliant effects. Repose speaks in all. Not one is of small size. Diminutive paintings give that spotty look to a room, which is the blemish of so many a fine work of art overtouched. The frames are broad but not deep, and richly carved, without being dulled or filigreed. They have the whole luster of burnished gold. They lie flat on the walls and do not hang off with cords. The designs themselves are often seen to better advantage in this latter position, but the general appearance of the chamber is injured. But one mirror, and this is not a very large one, is visible. In shape it is nearly circular, and it is hung so that a reflection of the person can be obtained from it in none of the ordinary sitting places of the room. 2 large low sofas of rosewood and crimson silk, gold flowered, form the only seats, with the exception of 2 light conversation chairs, also of rosewood. There is a pianoforte, rosewood also, without cover, and thrown open. An octagonal table, formed altogether of the richest gold-threaded marble, is placed near one of the sofas. This is also without cover. The drapery of the curtains has been thought sufficient 4 large and gorgeous Sèvres vases, in which bloom a profusion of sweet and vivid flowers, occupy the slightly rounded angles of the room. A tall candelabrum, bearing a small antique lamp with highly perfumed oil, is standing near the head of my sleeping friend. Some light and graceful hanging shelves with golden edges and crimson silk cords with golden tassels sustain 200 or 300 magnificently bound books. Beyond these things there is no furniture, if we except an argand lamp with a plain crimson-tinted ground-glass shade, which depends from the lofty vaulted ceiling by a single slender gold chain, and throws a tranquil but magical radiance over all.